What's going on, everyone? So we got a report earlier today per Shams that the Lakers are zeroing in on JJ Redick as the franchise's head coach. Did a whole video about that. Go check that video out after this video. But we got another update, and this is in regard to assistants. Now, we know the Lakers have already been doing interviews for various assistants, which, again, signals more so JJ Redick is going to be the head coach, because why would you do and start looking for assistants and doing interviews unless you already had your head coach lined up and ready to go? So it makes sense that, like, hey, we got JJ, he's the head coach. We got to wait till the NBA Finals is over, then we can make it official, then we can bring him in. Good to go, right? Now they're in the process of trying to find various just assistants and kind of round out the bench. One of the things that the Lakers didn't do, which they were originally going to do, which was find a veteran, former head coach as a lead assistant, somebody that they liked in that role to kind of help Darvin Ham. Darvin Ham, he wanted to pick his own staff, so the Lakers let him do it, and we saw the end result of that, right? This go around, the Lakers are like, no, we're going to handle this. We're going to make sure we put the proper coaching staff on the bench for you, which I love, right? Talked about, let's assemble a new Avengers version of the 2020 roster, right? Where you had Vogel, Lionel Hollins, you had Jason Kidd, and Phil Handy. Love that brain trust. Love that mind, right? You had Frank Vogel for the defense and the big men, Jason Kidd for the offense and the guards, right? You had Lionel Hollins as the middleman, and then you had Phil Handy as the development guy. Love that. Can we do something like that? Well, the Lakers really want and are targeting James Borrego as the lead assistant for the Los Angeles Lakers. So, James Borrego is like their guy, not named JJ Redick. So, if JJ Redick, for whatever reason, ends up turning the job down or whatever, James Borrego would be next in line to be the head coach. Lakers really like James Borrego. All the word coming out of the interviews is that he's nailed his interviews and he's been very impressive. The Lakers just look at JJ Redick's upside as greater, which is something I've talked about, right? Like, the reason I like JJ Redick and I want to go with JJ Redick is because of his upside and potential. I just think he's the best candidate in that regards. Where all the other guys, you kind of know what you're going to get with them, right? Where JJ hits, you could knock this out of the park. But James Borrego is a guy that has done really well in these interviews. The Lakers are like him a lot, and he does have some experience as a head coach with Charlotte. It also gives the Lakers a safety net, right? So before we get into that, James Borrego is still doing interviews, right? So it is possible that, like the Cavs or somebody ends up bringing him on board, right? Monty Williams could even be on his way out. There's murmurs and rumors of few guys that could be on the way out, and James Borrego could end up getting a head coaching candidate or spot with one of those guys. We'll see. We'll see how that develops. But if that doesn't happen, then the idea is that, like, hey, we bring in James Borrego as the lead assistant, and then it gives the Lakers a safety net, because if JJ Redick, let's say, isn't working out, and it is kind of this, like, mess, and he just, or whatever, let's say it's too overwhelming. He's kind of like, hey, like, I'd like to kind of step away and maybe get back into broadcasting or whatever, right? If it doesn't work out with JJ Redick, you don't miss a beat now, right? You have James Borrego who could just step right in. The Lakers are very enamored with him, right? He's a guy that he's not my favorite, right? I'm not in the interviews. I don't know what he's talking about. I don't know what his vision is. I only know what we saw with Charlotte. And to be honest, like, what he did in Charlotte was very impressive. I just think some of his, like, offensive schemes and stuff like that don't really fit what the Lakers have, especially with LeBron James and Anthony Davis, right? So I have a little concern, and can he manage? It's one thing to manage, like, LaMelo Ball and a bunch of young guys. It's another thing, you have to manage LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Clutch, and it's a lot. It's a bigger thing, right? You also, like, you look at Charlotte, again, made the playoffs. He looked good in Charlotte, right? He's not, like, I don't think he would do a terrible job, right? Like, if the Lakers, let's say JJ does miss out and the Lakers do land James Borrego, I wouldn't hate it. Again, it's not my favorite, but there's not really this, like, bona fide candidate that you look at and go, that's the guy, right? All of them are gambles. All of them are risks. But I do think James Borrego does have some good qualities, and you saw some of those things with Charlotte. Again, he has some level of head coaching experience and had, to a degree, some level of just success, not like in a championship scale, but a team that was looked at like they wouldn't even make the playoffs and ended up making the playoffs. So that's just one thing. But to me, it's like, okay, Brandon Borrego, I like him as like the assistant, right, behind JJ. I do. I think that makes a lot of sense. Now you got JJ. Now you got James Borrego. Bring in a Rondo. Bring back a Phil Handy. Right? If you can bring in a Jared Dudley in some way, do that. I love that. Right? And now you start putting together this brain trust. Now you start putting together this real, just high quality coaching staff, in my opinion. To me, at that point, now it's just you got to get the roster right. Because again, it doesn't matter how good the coaching staff is. If you don't have enough talent or you just don't have a well-rounded enough roster, a coaching staff can only do so much. Right? These guys still have to play the game. That's why I'm so defensive of coaches at times. Because the players are the ones that have to execute. Players are the ones that actually have to go out and do the job. Right? A coach could do the best preparation ever. Right? You could have, Phil Jackson, Red Auerbach, Steve Kerr and whoever, right? Like you could have a dream team of head coaches, and if you don't have the talent, I mean, look at Greg Popovich with the Spurs the last few years, looked at as one of, if not the greatest coaches ever, and can't even make the playoffs, right? If you don't have the talent, if you don't have the pieces, if you don't have the roster, then it's irrelevant, right? So to me, it's like you get the coaching staff right now, you do that correctly, then it's just about getting the roster right, getting the players, getting, using the coaching staff to kind of help mold and shape, like, what is your vision? What is your plan? Right? JJ, as soon as he gets done with the NBA Finals, he can jump in. If you have James Borrego locked up, if you have Rondo locked up, if you have whoever the coaching staff is, right? If you have these guys locked up, now you can just, hey, let's get into the lab. Let's work this out. Let's figure out how we want to approach this. How do we want to go about this? What's the game plan? What kind of offense schemes are we going to run? What kind of defense schemes are we going to run? How do we want to approach this? And now you can get into the draft and then get into free agency, various trades, right? The Lakers really want to make some pushes. Lakers haven't even haven't even done any workouts for any type of just 17th pick guys. They've had some workouts, but it's been for 55th to undrafted guys. So to me, it's like now, can you find somebody at 17 or are you trading somebody? I think that they trade 17 personally. That's my thoughts, but we'll see, right? Point is, if you get your coaching staff locked up, now you're in a position where you can start putting all the other pieces to the puzzle. Let's go win this championship. I know some people have their concerns and questions on if the Lakers win a championship with a rookie head coach. Do you have a good enough roster? Do you have a good enough talent? And, JJ Redick is schematically the level that we think he is? I do. And there have been, especially more recent years, first-year head coaches that have what? Steve Kerr, you got Ty Lue, right? Like, there have been guys that have won in year one, right? One of which having LeBron. Now, LeBron isn't the same LeBron he once was, but he's still excellent, right? You still have two good cornerstone pieces. It's just getting everything else together, right? I like the idea of James Borrego. If you can bring James Borrego in as your lead assistant, if you can kind of have him kind of be, or even like a co-coaching thing, right? Like, you've seen like little things, because it is JJ's first year. So I think JJ would be open to like, hey, this is kind of like, you're the head coach, but we want James Borrego to kind of be there as your right-hand man, right? And let's kind of work this out. I think that makes a lot of sense, right? Now you got your two main pieces. Again, it boils down to, will James Borrego take a job elsewhere? Right, if he doesn't get, or none of these other coaches or none of these other organizations hire him as a head coach, I could see him switching over, coming to the Lakers, and then kind of using the Lakers and their platform to kind of leverage him into a coaching job elsewhere. Because every year, there's 3 or 4 coaching spots that open up. Next year, there's going to be several more. So you could bring Borrego in, boom, he's your assistant, and now you're good to go at that point. And then if he ends up leaving, hopefully by then JJ is locked in and ready to go. We can go win this championship. That's the idea. That's the hope. That's the goal. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. I pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? First off, do you like JJ as the head coach? What do you think of Borrego as the assistant? Do you want Borrego as like the the secondary lead, or do you want him as the head coach, right? Again, I like James Borrego. He's not my favorite. Again, there's some good, some bad. I just think the schematics with him, I don't know if it would fit with the Lakers, right? Even just the guys we currently have, and even the guys we're more likely to keep, particularly with LeBron James and Anthony Davis, right? Because those guys really aren't like LaMelo, fast-paced, just get up and down the court, and he's just kind of the engine, right? Like, LeBron's not going to do that at age 40. So we'll see. Time will tell. But again, love to hear your thoughts and opinions, however you feel, down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot, so we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.